And we are live.
Just like that.
Good, we can start.
Amazing. So I don't know. Let's see, I have to say, do you want me to introduce myself or how do you want me to start?
Yes, I think we can start like that. So I will be just in the background like this. So I will just ask you, Nancy, welcome at the Global Empowerment Hub. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and then we can kickstart the workshop.
Sounds great. So my name is Nancy Barrows, and I am a keynote speaker and the creator of the Chick with the Tool Belt program. It's a guided discovery into finding your voice and how to express it in a way that feels authentic in order to build your network, promote engagement, generate new business. I'm known as the Queen of Engagement. I work to build people's understanding of why personal content is your most powerful tool on social media. I created the Radiating Real movement, which empowers people to take off their masks and to experience the power of showing up and to receive that unconditional love and acceptance. I have a history of trauma and have learned to thrive through my adversity. And I love sharing that story so that I can help others and inspire them, give them hope, and let them know they're not alone. I am also the creator and host of the LinkedIn Live show, Connected Human Conversations, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later as we go through the workshop. And finally, I am a speech pathologist and have worked in the public schools for 22 years now. So that's a little bit about me. And I just want to say thank you so much. Hang on, we're going to do that whole silence everything. Everybody wants to, I appreciate everybody wanting to let me know that they're here, but we'll do it here. Thank you for joining me here today and for being a part of the Global Empowerment Summit. Andrea, I have to say, and I've said it to you before, you've created a summit that is digitally bringing people together around the world to learn, to grow, to congregate, to build community, and to help each other. And what you have created, especially knowing you did it all by yourself, is extraordinary. So I'm going to talk about digital self-care today. And if you've been paying attention, self-care is a hot topic right now. And especially given what we've been through and how we've spent the better part of the last 2 years, literally separated due to a global pandemic. So the conversation has been about self-care, but where does digital self-care come in? Personally, I haven't really heard it being discussed when there are conversations about self-care. And I'm going to invite you to share in the comments, what digital self-care strategies have you been taught? What digital self-care strategies have you been offered? By whom and which digital self-care activities have you engaged in? So typically, most people think of digital self-care as opting out, unplugging, taking that detox. But what if I told you that social media and digital connection is the self-care? Allow me to introduce a different perspective on digital self-care. It's one that harnesses the positivity, acknowledges the benefit of social media and digital connectedness, and rewrites the narrative that tells us that social media is a place of fear, doubt, negativity, and danger. By the end of our time here together today, I would like to have radically shifted your perspective on social media and digital self-care. My goal is to convince you that social media is not a bad thing. It can be a very positive thing, and it can have a positive impact on you and others when you are showing up in the right place and surrounding yourself with the right people. I hope to inspire you to share what you've learned here with someone else. As I mentioned, I have found from talking to people that traditional digital self-care is thought of as a break and stepping away and erasing your social media footprint. All of those things center on disconnecting. It tells us that stepping away or ceasing to use social media is better than staying present. And I'm here to challenge that thinking. There's no denying that there can be a negative impact of social media. Most people are all in or want nothing to do with it. The fear, the uncertainty, the doubt makes them question. The reality is that it can be a very scary place, which is why we need to show up honestly. So, question for you, tell me in the comments, have you ever taken a social media break? Have you done the disconnect, the walk away, the delete your profile for a while and come back? Is this something you can relate to? So I see some of you have and some of you haven't. For those of you who have, you probably know and have experienced what I like to call the digital avalanche that follows when you return from your break. And for those of you who haven't taken a break, keep listening. It may be a good strategy for you, but I want to caution you on this one because the reality is after you take that break, you don't step back into right where you left off. It's not as if nothing has changed. In fact, what you come back to can be more stressful, more distressing than what you left behind. I so appreciate you all sharing your experiences with me. And this overwhelm, that stress, comes because there are more messages, all the ones you missed, the posts, the shows, the blah, 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 everything that's happened while you were gone. And that overwhelm of what you've missed and trying to catch up can perpetuate this cycle of feeling the need to once again disconnect. Now, my caveat to you is if you are able to return, take a break and really return with a mindset of moving forward and not looking back, this may be a good version of digital self-care for you. But the vast majority of users experience the former, that avalanche. Mostly because digital self-care is not about disconnecting. It's quite the opposite. It's about connecting. In fact, I want you to take a screenshot right now. I'll smile. Or as I like to do on most shows, open my mouth. Apparently that's the thing I do. But I want you to take a screenshot right now and after the workshop, post it. Share what you learn with others because we are what makes social media the positive place it can be and a haven for that digital self-care. Share that you found a place to gather, to learn, to find community, and how that made you feel. I guarantee you there's someone out there who can relate. And I promise you it will resonate with several someones. There is still plenty of time left in the Global Empowerment Summit. Tell them that you heard it here, that you connected here, that you felt the positive energy here, and allow them to find the Global Empowerment Summit and experience that too. So let's talk about a positivity perspective on social media and digital engagement. As I said, this summit is a perfect example of digital self-care. It's bringing a worldwide community together in one place. GES is an example of positive digital self-care. And let me remind you what I said earlier. Look at the number of people that are gathering to learn, to grow, to support one another, to connect because of this summit. Consider digital self-care over the last 2 years. In a time where we couldn't leave home, we couldn't meet a friend for lunch, we couldn't go to a funeral or celebrate a birthday party. We couldn't interact with one another as humans in the ways we had always interacted before. Think of that person who was living alone. Think of the positive impact social media can have in your life. Take a second and share an example of how social media and digital connectivity has had a positive impact on you in the last 2 years. And go ahead, share it in the comments. Digitally, we have had the opportunity to be together, to come together, to support one another, to provide one another the digital self-care that we weren't able to give in-person self-care, to offer one another in real life. And this isn't just during a pandemic. The pandemic highlighted this. We can always share the digital love. We can always collaborate. We can always show up and support one another. We can always share the digital space. Digital self-care happens in so many ways. Think of all the ways you have connected digitally over the pandemic. Think of the people you have met, the things you were able to learn, the bonds that were forged, the places of growth, the ways you became vulnerable. All of it happened digitally. When we were literally disconnected from one another, it allowed us to get and stay connected. Social media and digital engagement was a godsend for lots of people. And digital self-care, it's about the positive of social media and digital engagement. It's remaining connected because we know how dangerous disconnecting can be. And I appreciate, Cheryl, I see you sharing. For me, LinkedIn has been our survival mode, and the networking, I mean, yes, the positive impact it has had on our business. And if not for social media today, I would not have known Andrea and been here. Yours is one of many. It makes me smile and makes my heart so happy. And I promise you, someone else is reading this and going, me too. It's a powerful thing to connect and inspire and allow others not to feel alone. I said that it's about connecting and not disconnecting because we know what being isolated does to our brain, our body, our mood, our overall well-being. And that is the place of fear, of doubt, negativity, and danger. Social media does not have to be that place, but isolation almost always is. So a little bit about my story. I am that person who lives alone, minus the 2 cats, but I'm that person who lives alone. My brother and his family live 25 minutes away, but fear and a growing sense of danger kept us from getting together in person, despite the fact that none of us had seen anyone else outside of our immediate home, or cats, people or cats. And over the last 10 months, social media and digital connectivity has had a profound positive impact on me. So you may be asking, what happened 10 months ago? Well, for you, it might be different. It might be, the last year, 2 years, the last month. Think of the profound positive impact it's had to be digitally connected. And I see sharing in the comments, Cheryl, again. In fact, we watched our daughter's wedding on Zoom. And imagine if I have chills. Imagine if we did not have this digital space. We could not be in the position to share in her happiness, even if it was virtual. And I relate to this. This resonates with me. I was unable to see my parents for 2 years during the pandemic. And that was super, super hard for me. And because of a mutual friend who helped my parents get on digitally, I was able to see them face to face and spend time with them that way. And I have to tell you, I think I cried for days afterwards with the relief and the joy of everything that happened in that moment, of people coming together and using this space for something positive, when so often it's blamed for so much negative. So again, what happened 10 months ago? 10 months ago, I started engaging in digital self-care in a way I never had before. And what happened? I never could have imagined. The people I've met, the family I've created, if not for being engaged in digital media self-care, if not doing it the way I did, I wouldn't be here. In the past 10 months, I started my company, The Chick with the Tool Belt. I would not have my own live show. I would not be a part of 2 other amazing global award-winning live shows. I would not have become a keynote speaker. And more importantly, I would not have been able to help the people I've helped. I would have not been able to make the impact that I am making and continue to make. I would not be living out my passion with purpose, and I would not be where I am today. Here, giving others a new positive narrative regarding social media. If I had chosen to disconnect, there wouldn't have been the opportunity. There are ways to remain engaged, present, and not to have to cut yourself off from social media and practicing digital self-care. Congratulations, yes, Shelda, your daughter, I see you celebrating Brian, thank you. And same for Andrea. So, okay, about now, you're probably thinking, great, I'm convinced, or at least I'm willing to consider what you're talking about. But give me the action steps. What are the practical things I can do? I'm going to share with you 5 positive digital self-care tips. The first, find that space. Show up in the digital spaces that make you feel good. Find the content that lifts you up, that fills you up, that gives you the opportunities to give and to receive. The spaces that teach you something new, connects you with other like-minded people, and engages you cognitively. For me, live was that aha. Like many other people, I had engaged with the photos and the recorded videos, but live was where I found my most important digital self-care. Let us know in the comments what it is you love about live format. Is it how it makes you feel? Is it the real-time engagement? Is it about the people you meet? Go ahead, drop it in the comments. So, how do live shows and other opportunities create the possibility of self-care? Well, most of you probably know, but you don't think of it as digital self-care. A little bit more about my story. So I found Shout Out Saturday and What's Good Wednesday. I was introduced to it by a friend, and I showed up and I hung out. And then the next week I did it again. And part of those shows, the uniqueness of those shows, is there are no guests. Everyone who shows up in the comments to watch is invited to come on the show live and be our guest. Well, I did that. And then I did it again. Then I did it again. And basically the narrative is I showed up and I wouldn't go away because it changed my life. I found a home I didn't know I was missing and a family I never knew was out there. It became an opportunity for self-care, and I loved how it made me feel. Engaging, meeting new friends, catching up with the people who became old friends, feeling loved and welcomed, that I wasn't alone. I love that you can show up, especially to these 2 shows, feeling isolated and alone. And it makes you feel better. And this is not just about me. This is about every person who shows up. They receive the social support and encouragement that they're craving, that we're missing as humans. It's a safe space. You can feel whatever you're feeling, and you get to feel okay about it. Where it's okay not to be okay. Now, I'm going to share an example of a friend. A friend that is a regular on Shout Out Saturday and What's Good Wednesday. Someone who had shown up in the past to give love and support and encouragement. And then one day he showed up because he needed that back. And he knew it was a place where he could receive it. And he knew because he had been with us so many times before. And like I said, had been on the other side, giving that love and support. And when he showed up, we knew because we'd seen him so many times before. But he chose to show up to receive that support, receive that encouragement, receive the reminder that it's okay to not be okay. You're not alone, and there is a community out there that has you. Positive digital self-care. Now, another show, my show that I'm a part of, I'm the co-host, is called Connected Human Conversations. And what I love about this show, and I did not realize was unique at the time, is that people are not only fully engaged in the conversation that's happening on screen, they're fully engaged with one another in the comments. People started saying, I needed to hear that. You got me thinking in a different way. Thank you. Love and generosity was flowing. And while we start, Kelly Bryant and I, my co-host, start each show with a topic. The reality is the community drives the topic. It's all driven by the community. It's all driven by the comments. And it's a conversation that's happening between all of us. Most shows and hosts have a run a show and they stick to that. And there's a back and forth. But in my show with Kelly Bryant, Connected Human Conversations, it's about being seen and heard. That's a big thing, especially in the past 2 years. It's a different dynamic for a live show because people get to talk about what's on their minds. The topic of our conversation for that hour comes from the comments. And people get to engage in a conversation that is about what's truly relevant to them, what resonates with them, and what is urgent to them to discuss. And they come back again and again. Why? Positive digital self-care. It's not about listening to Kelly and I talk. It's about the conversation we're all having. I love that people check in with one another from show to show based on the conversation from the week before. And yes, Anise, I agree. It's about the connection and the new discoveries. And Brian, yes, be our guest. Tomorrow, well, I can't say if it's tomorrow, but Saturday mornings, Pacific Standard Time, 9 a.m. So California time, 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. We are there and we are sharing the full force funness. We are encouraging, engaging, laughing, and holding space for one another. And it's not just these shows. I talk about what I know, the knowns for me, but I will encourage you to visit as many live shows out there and to continue to visit them and find your community. If you need a way to do that and you're on LinkedIn, Gabe Leal has What You Watch on Wednesdays. And Alex Chambers launched LinkedInLiveShows.com, where he's creating a calendar that pulls together all these shows to one place so you can find them. These are amazing humans who believe in the power of positive digital self-care and connectivity. And when you go to these shows, you see the same people showing up on other shows. Think about walking in your neighborhood, and when you had your old routine, the same people you would walk past on the street and say hello to. That warm blanket. At these shows, your people are there, and anyone new who joins is welcomed in as part of the community and family. These are digital opportunities to come together. And they've been around for years, but in the last 2 years, we've harnessed the positive of the digital world and social media. In this case, digital provides the self-care. So first tip, show up where you're welcome, celebrated, supported, and encouraged. Show up in those safe spaces. Are you with me so far? Give me a heck yeah in the comments. So I got you with me? All right, great, fantastic. Tip number 2, know that is not about when you respond, but that you do respond. A reminder, we are all living life, so we get it, we understand. And if you've built the right community, they know your heart. They will give you grace. You can receive grace. And it removes the pressure to respond right then and there. And while this little piece that I'm about to share is not so little, and it could be a tip in and of itself, don't give more than you can. I'll share with you a little bit more from my story. Late last spring, summer, I was feeling like I was not getting my usual rest and restorative time that summer usually gives me, keeping in mind that I'm a public school educator. And so I get my summers quote unquote off, and had gone nonstop on Zoom for 2 years. Where I am in Los Angeles, we did not return to campus until this school year, 2021, this past August. And we were told on a Friday that on Monday, we were going to show up digitally and teach, support, educate. No training. Figure it out on the fly. Support education, support young minds that were spinning with fear, questions, doubt. And so summer is always needed, but certainly I needed it. And in past summers, I was able to sleep in till 7. I would start my day by working on and completing a few key tasks that would sort of lift some pressure, take some things off my mind. And then around 10, I would meditate. And I'd go for a walk or I'd swim before work. Because in the summer, I continued to see my private clients. But in the evenings, I still had the energy to enjoy time with my friends. I was still enjoying the sun being out late and the ability to gather outside, outdoor movies, outdoor concerts, bonfires on the beach. This past summer, none of that was happening. And I was lucky enough to be aware and take stock. Thank you, Jag. Thank you. I appreciate that. I share my experiences because I know that there's someone out there that is in the same space I am. And it means so much. So thank you. And Ethan, the pandemic has caused a lot of death around us. How do we move on having lost lifelines? Wow. That's a big one. Ethan, thank you for asking. I'm a person who believes in gratitude. And it doesn't take away the pain of loss. And it doesn't take away the longing. But it allows me to take stock of what is still. I'm still alive. I still have other people that I connect with. I can be a source of understanding and support for someone else who's gone through the exact same thing. I'm so sorry that you and so many people went through that. I understand. I can totally relate. And like I said, there's nothing that erases that. But for me, and for all of us, how our brains work, and it's one of the tips later on, is focusing on the positive, helping someone else does wonders for our spirit. So past summer, like I said, none of that was happening to me, and I took stock. And what did I come up with? Well, I had added 8 hours of live shows weekly, returning direct messages immediately, making, crafting, writing, responding with heartfelt comments on other people's shows and posts, and doing the same for mine. After my show, I send a personal voice message to everyone who's shown up in the comments. I was sending and responding to connect requests, all with personalized messages. While everything that I was doing was something I enjoyed, and it did feed my soul and make my heart full, somehow it was draining and exhausting me. That saying, too much of a good thing? Well, it's real. I'd lost my balance. And I was experiencing burnout. Anyone out there experience burnout in the last 2 years? Go ahead, tell us in the comments. So great. What did I do? Well, I engaged in positive digital self-care. My first thought was, okay, easy, stop, walk away, run away. That's draining me. Cut it out of my life. But the reality was, it was no one thing that was draining me. There was nothing I could specifically cut out and feel better. What I needed was balance. And here's where the positive digital self-care came in. What I realized is that I needed to show up differently. And here's that piece of, right? You don't have to respond right now. It only matters that you do. So I realized what I needed to do was show up differently, while remaining connected to the things and people that were feeding my soul. I shared what I was going through with my online community and family. Not surprisingly, it resonated with them. They thanked me and shared how they were feeling. It opened a dialogue, an important conversation, and together we normalized the experience for one another. None of us was alone. If I had disconnected, walked away, I would still be engaging in the narrative in my head that had me beating myself up because everyone else was able to manage it. Why couldn't I? It took a change in how I was showing up. I could continue to show up. I could walk away feeling energized and nourished, and I could feel good about the time I was spending on social media and digitally connecting. Because remaining connected and engaging, being honest and open about what we're going through, that was the self-care I needed. And I came to find it was the digital self-care others were needing to engage in it as well. I felt seen and heard, and others felt seen and heard. And I'm curious how you all are keeping up with the demands, those pressures. And I see here, Ethan, yes, inner peace comes the peace we spread. There's so much that I've learned about the value of my story by sharing it. And I encourage people all the time to radiate real, to show up without those masks, share your stories, because each of us has a powerful story, and there's someone out there that needs to hear it. And by sharing our stories, we affirm that we are human, we are more alike than different, and that we all have permission to do so. Anise, you do, and burnout is real. You feel exhausted even from a simple task, and then you took a break. That's burnout, right? When the smallest things and the things that normally make you happy and fill your soul and bring you joy aren't doing it anymore, it's time to take stock. And one of the places, again, number 2, where we fall prey, you do not have to respond immediately to everything. You do not have to cut off. All there is to do is give what you can give at the pace you can give it. Mission, vision, and dreams come true. Yes, I love that. Thank you, Jag, for sharing that. So the third tip is to share your positive to attract other positive people, and to be a place where people can find the kind of support that I, and many others need. Be the safe place. Make an impact. Let me explain what I mean by share the positive. I think it's important that we acknowledge that positive is not just sharing the good. It's sharing the life affirming. It's sharing what makes us human. Sharing the ups and downs, the hard fought wins, the laughter, the tears. It's comforting, it's encouraging, it's cheerleading, and celebrating one another with one another. And in the past 2 years, with one another would have been impossible without social media and digital engagement. So why is this also important? Well, because there's always someone else who has been where you are and can offer their wisdom. Positive digital self-care. If you share, there's always someone who is exactly where you are and will benefit from knowing they are not alone. Positive digital self-care. There is always someone who will find themselves where you are now, and you will provide them the comfort and wisdom to help them through. Positive digital self-care. Quick recap on number 3. Share something, because there's something about sharing that helps others that in return helps us knowing we help someone else. Think of the good you see in your feed. The stuff that when you look at, you find yourself smiling and then looking for more content from those people. And guess what? When you start to do it, people are looking for you because they find what they need. My experience is valuable to someone else. They feel less alone, normalized. They are normalizing the experience of life with me. And I felt like I was having an impact and I was making a difference. And so engaging in social media was another form of digital self-care for me. So, number 4, engage. Well, engage, meet new people. Take advantage of the opportunities for that social interaction. Spend time with other people. As humans, we crave and thrive off of community. It doesn't mean we don't need our alone time, but we're meant to be together. And I see that Sung from YouTube said, life balance, present digital work, digital life, real life balance. And isn't that the key? Thank you for sharing. It's that balance. And again, too much of a good thing. I was engaging in all things that were amazing and feeding my soul, but it was all in one place. And I didn't balance it out with the other things in my life that were important and feed my soul as well. Okay, so mine, I'm a big, as I said earlier, I'm known as the queen of engagement, and comments are my favorite way to engage. My favorite tip to share is to show up as if you belong, because why? You do. Now, what do I mean? First, before I move on, if you have not introduced yourself to someone in the comments that you have never met, please do so now. Say hello. Now, I have hopped in and met so many people by quote unquote acting as if I belong there, meaning I show up as if I'm already part of the community. I say hi. I welcome people to other people's shows. I tell people it's great to see them. I remind them I always enjoy spending time with them. And maybe it's because I've seen them on other shows and other feeds. But I ask them how they are. I tell them, I hope you're having a fantastic day. And in the comments, I remind people to connect with one another. If you're enjoying the conversation and you're enjoying what's going on in the chat, in the comments, you found your people. Go connect. Remind the people who are there. If you are not yet connected, reach out to these people. Here's your digital self-care. Engaging is a powerful way to build your community. And I know I'm very active on LinkedIn. And what I say is not only are they my community, they're my family. I grew family. And hi, Jag. Jag is from Malaysia, and she is one of the speakers here. Please join us. She's inviting. I love it. So enjoying this conversation so much. It's the insight, the knowledge, the heart shared today. Thank you, Brian Schulman. And thank you for telling Andrea to have a fantastic day and say hello to one another. You guys are amazing. So right now, just from watching you guys in the comments, even if I wasn't participating, if I was a silent supporter, I'd be smiling ear to ear. Look at the community. Look what the message is. We're happy to see you. You show up and you're one of us. Positive digital self-care. I'm wondering how many people do that? Drop in the comments. How often do you introduce yourself? How often do you talk to someone in the comments as if you've already known them? I did it on Gabe Leal's show 10 months ago. There was a conversation going back and forth about having accountability partners. And DJ Durante said, I need an accountability partner. I had never spoken to DJ. I had never even interacted with her in the comments. And I said, I do too. Want to be my accountability buddy? The two of us have grown together over the past year. When we started, neither of us had a live show. We now both do. Neither of us were showing up completely as who we are. Now we both do. I will say at 48 years old, for the first time in my life, I am 100% committed to showing up 100% me, 100% of the time. And I'm looking at the time and I'm on number 5. So let me share number 5 with you. Okay. Number 5, help someone else. Hi, Melbourne, Australia. Chatterbox in real life and in the digital world. We love that. So am I. I have ended up in comment jail. So confessions of I won't even say reformed, but as a person who visits comment jail on the regular. But number 5 is help someone else. There are a million different ways to do this. You're all doing it right now. By talking, showing up, interacting, giving that connection. You're helping someone else. You're helping me with the feedback. You're helping one another. So what are ways you can do that? Well, you can offer time. Hey, let's get together for a virtual cup of coffee. I offer always, and I share it with you today, sign up for a free 15-minute consultation. And that's what it says on my Calendly. And the reality is you don't have to have any interest in working with me. It's just about talking and connecting with good people. And I say just, and that's no small thing. It's about connecting and talking to good people. Offer your expertise. I've had it come up where people come to me because they see I have a live show and, hey, how do I do this? Or I've had people ask me like, hey, you got LinkedIn Live. Do you have any recommendations? Or you're a speech pathologist. What do you know about this? Offering your expertise, offering your time, it's a two-way street. As you're giving, you're receiving, because you know, as well as I do, the more you give, the more you receive. Hey, you can offer up help by giving someone your ear. Sometimes people just need to talk. Sometimes they just need someone to listen. Sometimes they just need someone to laugh with. Another great way of helping someone, offer kind and supportive words. I have said to people, wow, that resonates with me so deeply. I've said to others, I'm so glad this reached you at the time it did. I'm glad it resonated with you. I have told, I don't know how many people. And I will say my story is hard to receive. So as I get ready to tell you, feel free to react in any way that you feel. I felt it all. But I have helped and supported so many people by sharing that I'm an adult who experienced childhood sexual abuse, that I battled anorexia for years, that I stopped counting the number of major depressive episodes that I've had, and I have had a snotty, ugly, unsexy fight to get where I am. Being real helps someone else. Being real makes social media and digital engagement the positive place where we can go find one another and engage in positive digital self-care. And I see, Jag, you're sharing you never had friends because your dad was so strict when you were young, and it's his way of bringing up. Hence now you meet Andrea and have social media friends, right? I hadn't realized, thank you, Jag, for sharing. I hadn't realized, and it was one of the things I learned and grew through in the pandemic, that I went through a divorce about 7 years ago, and my entire community left because I started showing up as me. I was depressed and I was miserable, and I said snotty and unsexy and railing at the universe, trying to find acceptance, finding my new footing. And after that, something inside of me decided, nope, I don't need friends because they're going to step away when I need someone to step forward. And in my head somewhere, I vowed that I wasn't going to make friends again. And these were friends of 12, 15 years. And then 10 months ago, I came on LinkedIn. And my heart was reminded of exactly why. I love meeting people. I love making friends. And how much I value having those people in my life that step forward when other people would step back. So as we come, oh, I see something from YouTube. Self-care is the word. Yes. Show them why. Show them how. Yes, modern day support hero, you, what a beautiful thing. And we all get to be the heroes for one another. And already I see, look, someone else, we're relating. I told you, I promise you there's someone else it resonates with. And there's someone it's going to be meaningful for. And so here we go. I see, oh gosh, it's 7:43 already, my time. But a quick recap, and I appreciate you, Brian Shulman. You've been putting it into the chat all along. Before I go into recap, I want to remind you once more, my call to action to you is take that screenshot, post it, tag me, tag Andrea, tag anyone else that was part of the conversation, and make sure you tag the Global Empowerment Summit. Talk about what you learned and talk about how it made you feel. Such a powerful thing to give other people permission to help them learn and grow. So Number one, find that space. Show up in digital spaces that make you feel good. Find that content that lifts and fills you up, opportunities to give and receive, places that teach you something new and connects you with other like-minded people and engages you cognitively. Number two, no, it is not about when you respond, but that you do respond. We are all living life. Even if people aren't talking about it, we know how hard that is to do, and we have grace for one another. Remove the pressures to respond and enjoy it. And remember, most importantly, don't give more than you can. Share your positive. Number three, share your positive to attract other positive people and to be a place where other people find the positive. Reminder, when we share that good that helps others, in return helps us because we know we've helped someone else. We know that our stories, our experiences, and what we have to say is valuable. Number four, engage, meet new people, take advantage of the opportunities, the social interactions, the time. And as a reminder, when you share and engage, positive is not just the good. We need to hear it all. Social media is only as good and as honest and as powerful as we are willing to be. Share what makes you human. It's comforting and encouraging, cheerleading and celebrating one another with one another. Think of the good you've seen in your feed. Remember that you look for more of that. And if you're creating that content and giving those opportunities, people are going to look for you. Number five, help someone else. I gave you a few examples of offering time and expertise and supportive words to help people feel seen, heard, and validated. Everyone has their own special brand. You know what you can offer. Give freely. Before I take questions, I want to say thank you again to everyone for being here. It is my privilege to have the time to spend with you, to share what I've learned, to share my story, and to learn more about you. So thank you. Please, please, please connect on LinkedIn. It's Nancy Barrows. And there's a million other that I can drop into the comments. As a private school educator, you kind of have to chase me around on social media. I don't use the same name twice. If you're on Facebook, it's Nancy Debra, Debra. If you're an Instagram user, it's vibing_with_Nancy_Debra. And again, LinkedIn is my name, Nancy Barrows. I sincerely hope you reach out. I sincerely hope that I've inspired you today. And if you've been inspired, put it in the comments. Add that to your screenshot post. I sincerely hope that I have given you opportunities to engage in positive digital self-care and to change the narrative. If it's not for you, for someone else that you talk to. And that's my final call to action. Continue this conversation offline. Continue it with someone else who wasn't here tonight. Tag them, invite them in to learn more. So again, I thank you. I appreciate you. And I'm so grateful to be here. Yes, please add one point. I see that. You can give more than you have. Be an influence to influence others who can give more than you do. Absolutely. Make sure your cup is full. And then you can give all that you can give.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. So now I will just stop the live stream. Thank you for watching, for everyone in the YouTube and everyone in the room itself. And thank you for being there for yourselves. I stop the live stream straight now. And you can just on your camera and talk to Nancy. We have around 10 minutes until the next